makeshift office here that I have. And behind me, you can probably see I got like my bike cruiser right here. Here's the handles. I got a little bit of a cruiser going on,
Okay.
which I bought when all this stuff went down, so I can go and hit the streets, ride around some bike. But I'm just chilling at home, man. I got a hammock too outside. I got a hammock. So.
And this is the first time we're doing an actual podcast via video. So if you're watching us on the Ricky Rowe YouTube page or the Dream page, wherever you're at, interact with us. And we're going live. We're going to try to do this every Tuesday. So the guys back at the production studios are going to figure it's like, wait a minute, Tuesdays we're doing this. Because Ricky, Tuesdays are the days where you get a break from Sebastian and Little Diego for a little bit, right?
Yeah, I get a little bit of a break from them. Like I said, they'll probably I'm in the man cave and the door doesn't have a lock, so it's turned into a toy room as well. So we'll probably have them jump in here in a little bit. I could already feel it and sense that they're going to be jumping in and coming screaming here in a little bit.
Yeah, and then we are live on YouTube right now. I know you tweeted it both. So if you guys want to see something, leave comments. We will check those out while you're at it. All right, here it is. We got pictures of everything.
To let everyone know, though, Beto, this if they don't catch it live, it'll be on the podcast edition too, and they can listen to it on their car. I mean, not that anyone's really driving a long way right now, but if you're at the gym or whatever, you want to listen to it, it'll be on the Let's Go Ricky Rowe iTunes page.
Yeah, it's on iTunes, Spotify. See, we're going big time, JP. We are figuring things out. I know you're a man. Wait, how many podcasts do you have, JP?
None anymore. I've retired all my podcasts. This is my only podcast I have going on now. This year was supposed to be like over 80 games on TV and radio and different opportunities I was going to get in the booth. So I was focusing my talents on that, and but that was it. That's pretty much no podcast for me, just TV.
All right, and then now let's get to it, Ricky. You were drafted in 2005 by the Blue Jays out of Fullerton. JP, you were at Tennessee, right? When did you get drafted?
2007.
So right after that. When did you two meet?
Fall league. He was getting ready for the fall league, and I was getting ready for Instruct. So he was getting ready to go out there to do the prospect league. And I had just signed, and that was when we first started really hanging out, was that Instructs, right, Ricky? Because you were getting ready to go to spring train or to the fall league, and I was just having to do it was the Instruct stuff.
So I got drafted in 05. Travis Snyder was in 06. Travis and JP were really close. JP was in 07. And then I was close to Travis, and then we kind of met through him, and then the three of us just kind of started hanging out, and we built this bond, and obviously the three of us got to play in the big leagues together, so that was pretty cool. Just it's something different when you come up with certain guys and you get through the different levels, and then you reach the pinnacle of it, and then you're sitting there with some of your best friends that you came up with in the minors, and they watched the growth. We each other saw the growth of each other, and then you get up to the big leagues, and now you're playing in the biggest stage.
And then JP, so you're younger than Ricky. So when you first saw him, you're thinking, that's that first rounder right there.
Yeah, I actually remember from the College World Series a little weak mustache that he used to have on his face. But I remember that. But I mean, you're a fan of baseball, right? And you follow the College World Series, you follow the draft, and then so I knew Ricky through that, and then get drafted by the Blue Jays, and obviously then you kind of look into the system and you learn a little bit more. But yeah, it was me and Snyder and Ricky were kind of like boys at first sight. I don't know how you would be able to say that, but we were just like right away homies. Like we were super cool, hung out, go to dinner, and we used to laugh at Snyder a lot because he was ordering 2 entrees and we were just ordering 1. But like it just was like a easy flow of friends.
And you just kind of saw early on from JP, it was the confidence that he had in himself, and he was just so was something about him that he just, the way he carried, different than a lot of guys. You know, it probably guys the wrong way, but I know when I first saw him, it was like, all right, this guy, he cares. You know, he's a leader. He wants to be behind the plate in the.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to reconnect with Ricky right now. You know, when you live where he lives with all the rich people and all the celebrities, you know, the wires are a little different over there. So, but JP, you're the Miami kid, right? El Cubano who came through. So, I mean, you had some swag to you too, right? You had a little moxie.
Yeah, I think it was funny is a lot of guys who say like, oh, this guy's from Miami. You could tell, like, oh, you must be from Miami. Oh, you must be from Miami. And I never kind of really understood that until I kind of backed away from living in Miami and looking at it. And then when I would see guys on teams, I was like, I don't know if that's a good thing that they say that I must be from Miami. So, like Ricky said, I was confident, but I didn't even realize how I kind of walked around and did things. I was just so happy. I'm a guy who sometimes it comes across too. I remember in spring training, I used to be worried because my first spring training, I was in big league camp, and Roy Halladay, like told somebody that I say hi to too many people when I got there. Cause I was like, I loved it. I just like said, what's up to everybody? Like, hey, what's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? And I don't know if it came across as like cocky, who's this young guy, but for me, it was more, I legitimately was just happy to be at the field, and I just loved the opportunity to do what I was doing. So it could have come across as overconfident, but it was definitely something that it was just me being somebody who wanted to talk to people.
Ricky, you remember that? JP saying hi to everybody?
Oh yeah, to everyone, everyone. He's always been a talker everywhere we go. It doesn't matter if we're at a restaurant, at a sporting event, everywhere we go. Everywhere we go.
He's the mayor.
He's the mayor.
The saying is, I've never met a stranger, is kind of that. That's what I've been told, is that I've never met a stranger, which is a good thing. Sometimes it's a bad thing because I talk to too many people and it gets me in trouble. And Ricky knows exactly what I'm talking about. So I kind of set myself up for way too many issues. But
do tell. What issues?
Oh man, I just, I like the waitresses and I enjoy talking to different ladies and different females, and they kind of just would throw me. I kind of would shoot myself in the foot because I kind of made too many friends, and so.
Wait a minute, Ricky, you and JP used to go to breakfast every single morning, the morning of your starts, right? So you're trying to get into the zone, relax, this and that, figure things out, and then your catcher is over there hitting on every waitress.
Hey man, I let him do his thing because I know when 7 o'clock hit on the dot, he was ready to go. It didn't matter. Like, he was ready to go. He was ready to go, and he was all in. And I mean, and like I said, he took his time. Like, he was there at the ballpark early. He was watching video with you. He took a lot of pride in all that stuff. And he could be the there's a lot of guys that you run into throughout baseball who if they're over, they shut it down. They don't care about anything else. And if JP was 0 for 2, 0 for 3, 0 for 4, when he got behind that plate, it was business time. And it was like, what can I do to my pitcher so that my pitcher so that I get him through 7, 8, 9 innings, whatever it is. And if it's a battle, I'm going to help him get there, and like I said, there was always that constant communication, obviously, before you can run out to the mound and make sure you were on the same page and do all that kind of stuff. He was always into that kind of stuff. And in between innings, he'd come in, hey, what did you see there? Why did you shake me off? So you could just see that bond he had with not just me, but just the whole pitching staff. And I think everyone always respected that about him. It was just one of those things where he was so into the game and he wanted to win. We all wanted to win. I mean, at that level, everyone wants to win. And, I'm sure I can speak for him. It was tough for us to watch, the Toronto Blue Jays in the playoffs because we dreamt of those moments throughout our whole career there. And it, like myself, him, Travis, and you almost felt like you were a little bit of a part of it, but obviously you weren't there. And And I just remember, I think we texted, and it was like, man, this is tough, because we were so engaged with that city. We loved it so much, and we still do, because we go back and do a lot of events. But we wanted it so bad, because we knew what it would mean to the city. We got to experience it during opening day, packed stadium, and you're like, what if this could be in September?
Yeah, we used to dream about that, man. That was something that we were always tired about. We always used to try to say, hey, man, imagine what the city, because you're around the electricity of the city, and you go out, you have drinks, and you kind of, all these fans, like, hey, we're Blue Jay fans, and so you felt the electricity, and that was when we weren't even winning, and so you started to think, like, man, we can if we can win, this is gonna be sick. Like, let's get after it. And we did. That was tough to watch, but I was kind of fired up, for them, obviously, because Bautista and a lot of those guys, it was kind of tough. But for me, honestly, I think being a catcher saved my career, to play even longer than I did, or to play longer, because I had that out. I had that out to be able to have offense, and if I stunk, it didn't matter, because my saving grace was I had a pitcher that I can work with that day, and then the following pitcher and the following pitcher. So that was like, more than anything, my pride was like, man, I can stink at home plate, but I still have an opportunity to go out there and on a 3-2 pitch, call a backdoor slider, or call a changeup, or call whatever it may be, to strike that hitter out to get out of the inning. And to me, that was I felt a sense of accomplishment with the pitcher, because we had set him up properly, or we had maybe, I read a swing right, and now went to some pitch, or even I got shook off, and that was and they made the pitch and got out of the inning. But that was my job. My job was a catcher, and honestly, it saved me from probably having a shorter career, because it allowed me to have a mental break when I was already a mental midget. That was something that I could go and really kind of handle. But the good news is he didn't tell you that I went to breakfast drunk with him one time, so I didn't talk. I didn't talk a lot. In breakfast, we kind of hung out, and we would talk about different things. I think with breakfast we were kind of chill, but yeah, I showed up one time drunk for breakfast, and I thought that he was going to kill me.
Really? In New York, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yankee Stadium. He goes out and hits 2 home runs.
Yeah, you threw. I remember. I never forget. I got completely slammed the night before, and I remember getting a call in the morning, and he's like, "Hey, you ready? We'll meet down in 5-10 minutes." That's how we used to kind of always go. I'd wait for him to let me know, and we would go on whenever he woke up. And I was like, "Oh crap, I'm still smashed right now." And so I put clothes on, and I tried to play it off, and I want to say it was in the cab ride. Like, I was screaming stuff out of the cab ride. Have you seen my license? Because I had left my license and my credit card at the establishment that I was at. And Ricky's like, "Are you drunk?" And I was like, no. And I remember him asking me in the cab ride, like, "Are you drunk?" I was like, this guy's going to kill me. But thank goodness he pitched a heck of a game. And then I hit well that day. So then we were all good.
Wait, so you showed up drunk to breakfast and shook it off, and Ricky dealt that night?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I was drunk. I swear to you, that day, I think that I was drunk even during BP. I had drank so much the night before, I was drunk. And I remember like praying, legit going, "Please God, let me sober up, because I have to catch the toughest guy that I have to catch, who is also my best friend on the team. Please sober up so that I can just make it through." And I felt like absolute crap. But I remember saying that prayer, and 7 o'clock, the cobwebs were gone. I was ready to rock, caught a good game. He threw the ball well, and then I went deep twice, and I was like, "Oh, this is good." I
remember you took your friend deep. I think Freddie Garcia, right, was on the mound.
Yeah, Freddie Garcia. I took him deep. So that was that game. But I was so scared when he called me that morning, and I had to meet him in the cab, because we would take a cab together. And I was like, "Gosh, I'm hammered. Like, there's no way you don't know that I'm hammered right now."
But Ricky, did you know he was still like hurting when he was catching? Like, he was still buzzed?
Nah. I figured by 7 o'clock it should have already worn down. Like I wasn't worried one bit. I just thought it was funny.
By game time I was ready to rock. Cobwebs were gone.
Okay.
But during batting practice, cobwebs were still very much cobwebs.
I mean, let's just say he's not the first big leaguer. He won't be the last. Plenty of guys. You hear it around everywhere. Yeah. Like it's just, some guys, especially position players. If they go 0 first, sometimes if pitcher has a rough outing, maybe you're like, all right, I'm gonna go have some fun tonight and kind of do that.
Yeah, got it. You got to shake that out. But okay, have you guys ever played a game where you knew that the guy on the field with you was still hurting, like say a day game after a night game, where you just know it's out of their pores?
I'm trying to think. I mean, I'm sure there's guys that would go out and like get after.
I'm not gonna say a name, but I remember a guy that told me that he pitched against us and he was nasty. It was a Sunday day game. And I asked him about that game and I was like, man, you were nasty. And the first thing he said, he's like, dude, I was out the whole night, the night before. And I was like, as a starter? He's like, oh yeah. He's like, I was out the night before and it was a day game. So, and he just absolutely shoved it up our team's butt.
That was what stunk about Toronto though, is because Toronto was Saturday and Sunday. You had day games. So Friday night, I remember we used to be walking home from the stadium and it was like, all right, there's a line of people waiting to go in this bar, line of people waiting. I mean, and it was smoke shows. Like once the weather warmed up, you're like, whoo, it was unbelievable. And so it's tempting, man. That city could get you in this, but we would have Saturday day games, Sunday day games. So it was tough. Like the 2 prime nights to kind of hit the town. You really couldn't. Some guys, I know that there was some guys that did and would come in. And I don't know, Ricky, I feel like for me, it was always the guys that were either in the sauna, the cold tub or the hot tub. Like you knew, I mean, there was guys that did it regularly, but then there was guys that would come in and they would be like trying to sweat it out real quick so they can get ready to play.
So JP, I mean, we it's been a while since we had a guest like this. Obviously this is different circumstances. But I mean, if you can go back and tell us a little bit about the story about where it started and how it began for you. And obviously everyone knows you grew up in Miami, but growing up, did you play other sports where did you know at what age did you know you were going to be, this was going to be your future and so on and so forth? Like what kind of motivated you to become a baseball player and play the toughest position probably on the whole field, which is a catcher? Like what take us a little bit through that journey of you growing up.
So what's funny is for me, I grew up playing shortstop my entire childhood. I played baseball, I played basketball, I played football, and I was athletic, but shortstop, I loved shortstop. That was my thing. Cuban background, I feel like I have pictures of me as a baby just with a bat and a ball. That was just part of the Cuban culture. So I grew up playing baseball, and I remember actually I was a kid that they lied about my age so that I could play earlier. So actually, I thought
you were saying because they made you younger.
No. So I was 3 years old, and my parents forged stuff so I could play t-ball. So I could, and so what is funny is as I was playing, kids and parents would be like, "Why are you still in t-ball?" And I was like, "Well, truth is I shouldn't have been playing t-ball yet. I was a little." So I remember it was funny because some of the guys that I played with in t-ball were always like 2 or 1 level ahead of me. So that's kind of how I started, and it got to the point where I remember one coach I was playing, and I would say I was probably in middle school, and there was a coach that said, "Listen, man, you're slow. You're not going to play shortstop because you're not fast." And he's like, "So you have to figure out something else. You will position another position you want to play," because he's like, "It's not going to help you at shortstop." And so he told me, "Hey, the way they always say the quickest way to the big leagues is a catcher, because you can hit, you have a good arm." So it's like, all right, cool. If that's the case, then catch. And so I started catching, and I loved it because you're in every play. So now already a kid that's a little bit of a squirrel brain, like that was huge to me. So I started catching, loved it. I was still playing basketball and football during this time, and I continued to play basketball, baseball, and football all the way through my senior year in high school, which I think is a detriment to a lot of people who don't play other sports, because I had scouts calling me in high school telling me, like, what are you doing? You're crazy, because I was playing football my senior year. And I just always thought, man, I don't want to live my life regretting that I didn't play a sport when really high school is the only chance that you can do it. I knew that I could play baseball in college. I obviously had signed to Tennessee as a junior or committed there. So I knew I could play in college, but I wasn't going to be able to play football in college, although they had said, we think you can. I didn't think so. And in basketball, there's not any 6'1" power forwards in the NBA that are Cuban, so I sure as heck ain't playing in the NBA. So I was a linebacker, and I was all county here in Dade County. So I mean, Sean Taylor was in our same division. We had some real good football players that were in our division. Obviously, Dade County was good football, but some guys that went to UM. My quarterback went to the University of Miami, or one of our running backs went to the University of Miami. We had a lot of guys that played football, and so it was fun. But I really knew that baseball was it. And then around 16 is when I kind of started realizing. I was doing catching lessons with this guy who was a scout too, and he was starting to talking to me about the draft, and that's when I was like, man, I think I can have an opportunity to play pro ball like at some point. And so actually he ended up drafting me in high school, and we got into negotiations, and that was the year. It might have been, you remember when Tuiasa Sopo signed, the high school kid?
Yeah.
He was a quarterback, and he was going to go
Washington.
So the Mariners didn't have a first or a second round pick. So they drafted Tuiasa Sopo in the third round, and they got him out of that college football scholarship, because they gave him like over $2 million in the third round. And then the Mariners called me and said, listen, we're not going to pay you what you want, because we're going to give this guy the money. And so that's what made me go to college.
It was not the quarterback at Washington. I think it was his brother, Beto.
Yeah, younger brother.
Yeah,
he's from the Washington area. Marcus Tuiasa Sopo, former Raider quarterback, his younger brother.
Yeah. But we're not going to talk about the Raiders.
Football, though.
Yeah, no Raider talk with Ricky.
Now, if let's say, obviously, you say your career you in high school was pretty decent football player to. Especially in Miami, where there's a lot of big-time players. If University of Tennessee would offer you a chance to walk on the team, would you have done it?
Football?
Yeah.
Oh, there's actually they had talked to me about. So when my college football or my high school football coach was like, listen, I think you can play two sports. And I was like, dude, how many linebackers in the NFL are slow? None. I'm slow. And so he's like, listen, don't discount it. Just take your visit and see what you think. And I'm like, okay. And so when I went on my visit to Tennessee, I thought about it. I was like, all right, let me see. We'll see what could I possibly do it. And I walked on the field, and I asked somebody, I was like, hey, what position is that dude? And they're like, that's a defensive back. And I'm like, this guy is twice my size. So if the defensive back is twice my size, and that big old dude that you see there that's 6'5" and 360 pounds as an offensive lineman, that I would have to go like this to make a tackle, I was like, listen, dude, I'll swing at sliders in the dirt and try to throw out guys at second base. I want no part of college football. No chance. This is ridiculous. These guys are way too big, way too fast. And so that made it really easy, because my football coach was like, oh, I think you can do it. I was like, well, it ain't never happening, because I'm going to get killed.
And you played baseball at Tennessee, and you get drafted what year, what round?
When I played at Tennessee?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got drafted on this round called first.
I just see, the thing is, I knew you were going to say that, because when I met you a few years ago, Ricky had told me, hey, my boy JP, he's retired. That's when he started coming to the boxing gym. And I knew, because you had said that before. I heard that in an interview one time that you did that. So I asked you that in front of some of the boxers. I was like, hey, JP, I think it was Emilio Sanchez. JP, what round did you get drafted in? And you did the first. Like, I just love setting you up on that because the way you deliver it is so good.
I mean, I always try. I always laugh. I mean, listen. At the end of the day, it's an accomplishment, and to even think that I was a first round pick is like, that's insane.
What pick?
But
I forget what pick were you, JP?
Quite a few behind you, Ricky. 21.
21. And
21.
who was the first
21.
pick in the draft that year? Was it David Price?
That is correct, Mr. David Price.
I mean, hey, Beto, his USA team was the next year after I played in it. I mean, talk a little bit about that experience and playing for Team USA, and then the players that were on that team.
I mean, we had some nasty players. So I played my freshman and my sophomore year. My freshman year, we had some really good players. I mean, really good players. But my sophomore year, we had our starting rotation was Jake Arrieta, David Price, Tommy Hunter. I'm trying to think. Sean Doolittle would pitch for us. Our third baseman was Pedro Alvarez. Our shortstop was Zach Cozart. Our second baseman was Darwin Barney. Our first baseman was also Sean Doolittle because he was a two-way player.
Was he really?
Our left fielder, Sean Doolittle was the ACC Player of the Year because he was a closer and a hitter. He made it to AAA as a hitter, and the only reason why he stopped hitting is because he hurt his wrist, and then he started throwing 97 again. So, and then that's Doolittle. Then in left field, we had Todd Frazier because he at the time he was an infielder, but Pedro Alvarez was playing third base, so he was in the outfield. I'm trying to think who else that we had on that team. I mean, we won the gold medal and we won that game like 17-6. Like your team was pretty sick though, as far as anybody. If you look at these college national teams and you start looking at the rosters, 90% of them play in the big leagues.
That was a team Team USA. You guys went to Japan.
Yes, I went to Japan with that team.
And Ricky, you did the same thing the year before?
My first year. My first year I went to Taiwan, Japan. The second year we went to Cuba. That's
why it's Ricky and I've had this conversation too before. Like, you can do whatever you want, but there's something like Ricky grew up in East LA. You grew up in Miami, and you guys were, big time college players. But when you just mentioned all the names on those teams, JP, and same thing with Ricky, when you look around, you're like, this is like the best of the best in our age. When you put on that USA uniform, though, Rick, start with you, it's something special, right?
Oh, it's crazy. I never thought it'd happen to me. We were in the College World Series. We had just won, and then I didn't get a chance to try out, so I automatically made the team. And I met with the team in, I don't know, one of the Carolinas, South or North. I'm not sure which one. And when you put on that jersey, it was really cool. But we took a trip to Japan and we got our butts kicked over there for some exhibition games. And then we had to come back to the U.S., play a few more exhibition games, and then we went to Taiwan for the big tournament and it ended up doing it.
I'm trying to find you guys a picture here that I just had but I don't know where the heck my grandfather had just passed, and I had some pictures. I'll be back in here. I had a picture.
Go ahead, JP. You do what you gotta do, bro. We're live. This is the best part about trying this for the first time. And thanks to the guys at the Pro Angle Studios, John McKelvey, PETA, making sure we get all the proper angles and doing everything else you guys want to do. And it's pretty cool. As you can see the setup. So JP, let me know when you find the stuff. Okay, see the Blue Jay shirt behind me?
No,
That's free.
I can't. Hold on. You guys keep on.
Well, don't worry. Let me do commercials
now. I feel like I had to move too because I feel like my internet was a little bit slow. So we're going to a different room.
We're doing it live, baby. We're doing it live. Let's go, Ricky Roll podcast.
Live. As you can have live conversations and people. I'm trying to give the people what they want, but I don't know where my picture is. Son of a gun.
Don't worry about it.
The reason why I was trying to show you was because I'm back here. Is because truth be told, can you see me?
Yeah, I see you, Jamie.
Truth be told, I wanted to be a race car driver. I didn't want to play sports. I didn't want to play baseball. I didn't want to play basketball and football. Like I did, but I wanted to be a race car driver. I actually have a picture, and that's why I wanted to. I used to race like go-karts. So they're called karts, K-A-R-T-S, like karting. And it's how all the IndyCar pretty much and NASCAR guys. So I wanted to kind of show you that because I've never really talked about that. But that was something, my grandfather, he had just passed away and he had pictures, and it must be in my car somewhere where I put it yesterday, but it's me in like the race suit and the helmet because that's actually what I wanted to do.
Oh, we got to figure that out.
Talking about sports growing up, I did race karts. I did race go-karts when I was a kid growing up too.
I mean, driving around Miami is just hard enough right there.
Well, yeah, because LA is easier.
LA, I just love the way you say LA, like a typical Cubano. LA.
Hey, listen. But to your question, and
Team USA.
Ricky too,
Team
about the Team USA. To me, too, it was a huge thing because think about it, right? I had already gotten denied from one USA team. So when I was in high school, I got to the USA trials in Joplin, Missouri. And I tried out, didn't make the USA team. And I was like, it's kind of a shot to the heart, right? Like you think you're good. You put yourself on a national level, and then you're not one of the catchers that they pick. And so it kind of stunk. So then my freshman year, I had signed to the Cape Cod League. And when the USA team came calling, I was like, this is sick because I've always wanted to play in the USA team because that's kind of like the benchmark in the sense of if you can make the USA team, like I said, you're a big leaguer in a sense. And so when I got to make that team and I made that team, it was unbelievable. And for me, then you start to think, right? Like my parents are born in Cuba and I was born in the United States. And so to have the opportunity to now, having been raised in the U.S. and knowing like how my parents left and how they got to the U.S., how cool it was for me to actually put that uniform on. That was unbelievable. And then you think about the people that are out there. Like I thought about like that, people that were serving our country, like all these different things. And you go, man, I get to represent like our country. This is bigger than any team I've ever played on. We get off the bus and we're the USA team. And I thought, and Ricky, I'm sure you felt different, man. When you go to these different places, you get off the bus and you're like, dang, dude,
For me, it was like, it's almost like when you're in the big leagues, you're just looking around and you're like, wow, these are the top players in the whole country. And I'm one of them. That's where I was like, all right, but I belong here. At the same time, I was like, I belong here because I put in the work and I've done everything that I had to do. And that's why it felt special. And when you're, for me, it was myself, Mike Pelfrey, Luke Hochaber, Joey Devine. I mean, you name it. It was a lot of top arms in the country that year. And it was just, there was something surreal about it. And you're expected to go and win. But like I said, in that exhibition games in Japan, we played 4, and I think we got absolutely destroyed every game. So we didn't think we weren't as good as we thought we were. It was a little bit of an eye opener because it just told you that the world, baseball in Japan was the real deal. And I think we went in really confident. We obviously got to face that same Japanese team in Taiwan in the Rio tournament, and we ended up beating them. But it was some fun, close games against Taiwan, against Korea. It was really, really cool.
And JP, when you go and you figure this out, and you mentioned that you're the son of immigrants, same thing with Ricky. Like, do your parents kind of understand what you went through, like the experience that you have? Because you can tell them, but I mean, I'm trying to like your parents are probably like, yeah, we're proud of our son because he's playing, but do they understand the grasp of what it really was for you guys?
Not for me. I don't think so. I don't think like my mom has any other than watching me play baseball and knowing that I made the team. I don't think she understood the gravity of it. But like Ricky said, that's when I really first thought I made it. Like when I put on I was a USA baseball player, like the collegiate national team, and I made that team. That's when I was like, I can play in the big league. Like I made it. Like that was my sense. But my mom wouldn't have understood that. But yes, for sure, I did.
And I mean, we'll get into it a little bit as we go along, but you also got to represent Team USA in the grandest stage of all with major leaguers for the WBC too. So, I mean, that was probably an experience itself too. You were part of that game where you said it was probably one of the loudest games you've ever played in, USA against the Dominican, right?
Yeah, and not only was it the loudest game that I've ever been in, and the most insane, I've never seen more people run up and down aisles during the game in my life, with like sound makers and pretty much giving you like the this from wrestling, everything you can possibly do against the team. That's kind of how it was done. But so now put all of that into the game, the emotions. I'm in my hometown. My family's there, DRUS, it's going crazy. And then I have to catch the knuckleball, which is the worst, the absolute worst. Like literally, I'd rather somebody stand at home plate and turn around and karate kick me to the cup 10 times. I'm talking about full Luke Rockhold, like kick me as hard as you can in the cup, as opposed to catch this stupid pitch that goes like this the whole way to home plate and you don't know what it's going to do. So I actually, thank goodness, caught that game pretty decent. But my anxiety level was through the roof because, I mean, again, I'm representing the USA.
Dominican that day.
It was he pitched with the Twins. I don't remember his name out of the gate. He pitched out of the Twins. He was like a big slider guy. And then Fernando Rodney and all those guys came in. But I remember getting a hit, so I thought that was pretty cool. But also, too, honestly, that year for me was crazy in the sense of making that WBC, because going to the clubhouse, that's where I kind of knew that I was different. And I wish now that I look back, in the sense of having that confidence to feel like you believe, but that you belong there. I didn't feel like I belonged there. I thought I was a good player, but I walked into that clubhouse and I never truly felt like I belonged there. And when I was around those guys, and that's what I think separates like the best from good players, is they knew they belonged. But I just thought like, man, I'm a token. I'm the third catcher, because we had Joe Mauer and Jonathan Lucroy. And I just was like, man, maybe I was the one guy that would say yes to come and play this, that wasn't going to play a ton. So it was kind of that, you look back and I'm like, man, that's where I wish I would have had a different mindset, because I think that I truly walked in there, and I walked into the Blue Jays clubhouse and I was one guy, and I felt confident because I was a catcher and this is my staff. And when I walked in that clubhouse, I was like, David Wright, Jimmy Rollins, Joe Mauer, Adam Jones, all these guys. And I'm like, why?
And then they gave R.A. Dickey to catch. Assholes.
Probably, honestly, if you think about it, that's probably the reason why I made the team.
You know what?
That's because they're like.
I think, a little bit to what JP's saying, when I walked into and I thought I was having a good year in 2011, and obviously you don't make the first tier of the All-Star game because, certain guys made it and then they can't pitch in it. And then I was like the second or third selection. But a little bit of what he said, when I walked into that clubhouse, it was different for me. I think I walked in I looked around and I was like, all right, I know exactly what he's saying, where you're just kind of sitting down, just looking around, and you're looking at, the Beltrays, the Canoes, the Canercles, the Big Poppies. And you're like, whoa, do I belong here? And then it took me about a good, 10, 15 minutes to when I got dressed. And I was like, I looked down at my jersey and I was like, all right, I belong here. And I went out and stretched, and now those guys are talking to me like, hey, and Justin Verlander was there too, who's, a big time pitcher, probably a future Hall of Famer. And those guys are talking to you like, hey man, like, hey, you're having a great year, yada, yada, yada. And you just start talking and you're just like, all right, I belong here, and I obviously thought it would happen more for me. And that's why that one time I forever cherish it. Obviously, it didn't happen again, but those are the moments where I think, and like JP said, some of those guys, like they just know every year they're going to be there. Big Papi knew he was going to be there every year. Adrian Beltre knew he was going to be there every year, and it's what separates certain guys, and it's not an easy thing to do. But those guys are so confident, and they make it look so easy. 30 home runs year in, year out, and sometimes when they talk to you, they expect you to like have a quick grasp at it. But it's like that's why you guys are part of that tier. That's just very, very rare.
Future Hall of Famers that you guys were playing with. And thanks everybody joining us on YouTube Live right now. It's the first time we're doing the Let's Go Ricky Roll podcast on YouTube. Beth Duran, Ricky Romero, and JP Arencibia, former Major League catcher with the Blue Jays. So if you guys have any questions right now, we're going to open it up. If you're watching on YouTube, if you have questions, feel free. I can see them, and then we'll jump them out there right now. JP, we like to do something right now where we go and ask guys about some of their favorite stories here on the Let's Go Ricky Roll podcast. Real quick answers here. We're going to shoot them at you. The best brawl you've been involved with or saw?
I was never a part of any brawls. So
really,
we didn't have other than we had the conversation the other day with this guy, Louis Perez, in the opening day. It was like 15 degrees outside in Cleveland, and he threw a ball over Sin-Soo Choo's head by mistake. This guy literally wants no part of anybody. He's like the nicest guy in the world. And I go to the backstop, and all of a sudden Sin-Soo Choo's going after, he's like walking towards the mound. And then all the bullpens are coming out. I'm like, are we really about to do this on opening day? So I ran over to Sin-Soo, and I was like, hey, listen, let's be honest. The ball hit out the backstop, and I got it, and I'm still in front of you. Like, if you wanted to fight, you would have ran. So can we please just not do this anymore and just get back? So because it's cold outside.
It was like the 15th inning too, or whatever it was.
Yeah, it was an extra innings, dude. We're clearing benches on opening day. I'm like, please, can we just either throw the punches, run out there, which you don't want to do, or let's just keep on playing so we can get this game over.
What about the minor leagues, Jay? You were never involved in a brawl in the minor leagues?
No fights. I never got into any fights, which is kind of weird because you would figure that I would have been in.
I will say this though, JP was always, if someone was like staring at the pitcher, he was always in front of home plate, facing the hitter. He'd always make sure, like, sometimes if there's a pass ball or something, the catcher's worried about going and getting it really quick. If he saw something that was like strange or anything for him, he'd pop up right up and just make sure, like, all right, like, I'm gonna walk you halfway to first base almost, and just make sure you don't charge my guy.
Make sure of that.
I didn't mess around with that stuff. I took care. I made sure. Like, I hated guys too that you would throw in and they'd like look, and I'd be like, what the F is you? What's your issue? I've told many guys in the box, like, listen, you're not trying to do crap, because if you wanted to do anything, you would have already gone. So stop wasting my time and everybody else's time and go to first base, because you're sitting here and you're just talking crap. So go. Then that was like I just tell guys all the time, man. Like, what do you stop screaming? Like, this is not just get over it. Just get to first base. You're not going to fight anybody.
JP.
I mean, and you've talked about this moment for so many times, your debut in Toronto. I mean, take us a little bit of that day. Obviously, the emotions are high. You're making your debut. You're coming in as a highly touted, highly touted freshman, highly touted prospect. And, you've destroyed Las Vegas. And I believe you won the MVP and you missed the last month of the Pacific Coast League, correct?
That's right.
And you come in and you absolutely, your debut, having your mom there. I mean, I still remember that, and I still get chills over that moment when the game was finally over and they bring her down and you get to hug her. I mean, emotional for you, for her. I mean, it was like the pinnacle of it all. You're just like, man, like, Mom, look, we did it. Even if your career ended that day, it was like, I did it. I hit a home run. I got to round the bases in a big league stadium. I mean, take us a little bit. I mean, if you want to get deep into that, I mean, what was it like?
Well, honestly, that moment though, when I hugged my mom, was when that's when I became emotional, like overwhelmed with emotion. Because I think as a kid, you just dream about playing in the big leagues your entire life, and you have your family that's there, like constantly with you, constantly with you, constantly with you, and it becomes a dream for everybody, right? I mean, you know this, your family, your mom, your dad, your uncles, your aunts, your cousins, everybody is kind of invested. So it's not like we had a lot of athletes in my family. So, all of a sudden I get called up to the big leagues, and it's like, oh crap, like this is legit. Like I'm getting to the big leagues. And so that was when I hugged my mom. I think that was everything coming together of like, mom, you made it, I made it, we are here, this is reality. And then that's when I really started like bawling, crying. I didn't have any.
Is that what you told her? Or do you remember what you told her or no?
I remember just saying, I just remember saying to her, I love you, we made it. Like that was like one thing. I just get chills saying that. But that was like one thing was big to me. And then praying before the game, because my grandmother had passed away way before I got to the big leagues, but she had always told me like, you're gonna be a big leaguer, you're gonna be a big leaguer. And so when the national anthem was going on, I was like pouring down my eyes, because I was like praying and like wishing that my grandmother was there to see it. So that was another like emotional part. But other than that, the cool part was obviously I get to Toronto, and you and Casey Jansen take me to dinner at a show. You guys take me to show dinner. So I get to go my first, I get off the plane. I'm freaking Thursday off day. I'm fired up, and we go to Steakhouse at Jacobs. So that was sick. Now was my first big league meal. I'm already like, I'm sexy. I'm having a nice steak, some wine with the boys before I even step field. This big league, the life is sick. And so then that day, I didn't play Friday. And then on Saturday, I made my debut, which I couldn't sleep, obviously, the night before. You got all these different emotions going on. And then that day comes, and it's a day game. And I'm kind of thankful that it was a day game, because it happens quick. Like, you don't have time to think about the entire day. Like, you don't have BP. It's just a show and go. Like, I didn't have, the Vladdy that he had that whole day, and people following him and batting practice and all that stuff. I just had, we're getting ready, like show and go. So,
starting pitcher that day, I forget.
I remember. Huh?
Who was the starting pitcher that day? I forget.
Brad Mills.
Brad Mills. Wow.
Brad Mills, which was also helpful to me because I had caught him in AAA, so it made me more comfortable, right? Like, I had a lot of little things that made it easier for me that first day in the big leagues. And then when I was nervous about catching the first pitch. Hitting, I was obviously in a really good place, because that year I was doing really well. But defensively, I was like, man, I need to make sure I catch this first pitch. Like, don't drop this first pitch. Like, that was the stupidest. You know how like there's like the little guy on your shoulder that just says like stupid stuff to you that you're like, why did that even pop in my head? Legitimately, all I could think of was like, don't drop the first pitch. Don't drop the first pitch. Don't drop the first pitch. And I catch the first pitch my entire life, just like throw it back. And this one was like, my heart's coming through my chest, and I caught it, and then I kind of relaxed. And then when I got to my first at bat, I remember Edwin Encarnacion hit that double in front of me. So there's nobody out, man, on second base. And I'm like, just these people think, James Shields thinks that I'm a ninth hitter. I'm going to try to move this guy over. No shot in hell am I just trying to move this guy over. So that's what made me more comfortable, because I was like, what he's going to try to do is throw the pitch in to keep me away from moving the guy over. And so I looked, fastball in, and then all of a sudden hit that ball, and I was like, no freaking way did I just hit that, because I knew I hit it out. And then,
You get the band gloves on, you swung it, let's go.
Well, I was going to say, though, Beto, a little bit to what JP's saying there. Ain't it crazy, though, like the way that, what separates sometimes big leaguers from, like, the level that you reach? Like, he's saying there, this guy is thinking that I'm going to try and move the runner over. I'm thinking, hell no. I'm going to look fastball in, guess is right, bam, home run, first at bat. And it's just the level of thinking that goes into like knowing what the pitcher's trying to do against you in certain situations. For the younger kids that are listening to us, it's just knowing the game and understanding it. Like, debut, there's so much going on, but yet he has a plan and he knew exactly what he wanted to do that day and that at bat.
And you know what's funny? Too is that at bat. So I get to the big leagues and people we're so dumb in the things that we do. So I was like, man, Jose Bautista's having a huge year this year. I was like, hey, can I use one of your bats today? And he's like, yeah, sure. And then Vernon Wells, I was like, hey, can I use your batting gloves? So if you see my picture of my major league debut, my batting gloves have a 10 on my hand because I used Vernon's batting gloves and Jose Bautista's bat. And so that was like, I was like, these are two freaking studs. I was like, let me use it. And I was using Jose's bat and Vernon's batting gloves.
That's cool. That's real cool. You barn like you're like playing at the park in Miami right there. Hey, let me borrow your helmet. Let me borrow your bat. Let me borrow your gloves.
Yes, actually, I just saw a picture again. I got a lot of little pictures from when I was a kid. They had a picture of me. I had ankle socks, my pants that were higher than my ankle socks, so you can see my skin and no belt. And I was like, who the heck let me play a game like this? This is ridiculous. Who the heck allowed this?
Hey, when you're a stud, you're a stud. JP, as we start wrapping it up, what's it called? What would be the best advice you would give to 18-year-old JP Arencibia? Right out of Westminster High, the same high school as A-Rod. Best advice for him.
Honestly, it's easy for me to tell what I would tell a kid is.
Tell yourself.
Tell yourself. What would you tell JP?
Okay, so what I would say the same thing. So what I would tell myself is, as much as you invest yourself in the batting cage, as much as you invest yourself on the defensive side, as much as you invest yourself in the batter's box, invest yourself in your mind. Invest yourself in your brain. Invest yourself in the knowledge. Learn how to be able to handle failure. Learn how to be able to handle bad thoughts. Learn how to be able to handle, because what cut my career short was the battle within my ears. Because I didn't lose any. I was better. I actually got stronger. I was more experienced. I didn't lose any athleticism. I'm probably in better shape now than when I played. But what happened is I never really took into consideration how powerful our brain and our mind is over just our talent. And then you finish your career and you look back and you see the guys that were not as talented, but they had the wherewithal within between their ears. And then the guys that are super talented and have the wherewithal in their ears, between their ears, that's what makes them special. And I think that's something that I didn't really value because, don't worry, I can handle it, tough it up, suck it up, all these different things. And I think I would tell myself, be vulnerable enough to go, hey, you need to learn all this stuff. You're not Mr. Macho. You're not Mr. all this stuff. You need to be able to learn how to fall down and get back up, because for a long time as kids, we don't really ever fall down. We're good players. We just keep on going. And so I didn't fall down until I was in the big leagues and I had 50,000 people booing me. And I had 100,000 people on Twitter telling me how much I sucked and all these different things. And it tore me down to the point where I didn't even want to drive to the stadium anymore to play. So that's where I would have said, invest in what's within here. Because, look, he passed away, obviously, the Mamba mentality, all that stuff. I understand that now. I understand that now that I'm not playing. But I didn't really understand it before my career or even into my career. I just didn't understand how much of a difference that made in being good, great, or playing 6 seasons or 12 seasons.
And I can say a little bit to that. The great Roy Halladay, one of the greatest pitchers in our lifetime, Hall of Famer. He was one guy that told me too. Just because you go into that part of the game, which is mentally, doesn't mean you're mentally weak. And I think that's the stigma that it's carried for such a long time. Oh, he's seeing sports psychologists, he must be mentally weak. And it's not. It doesn't mean that. It just, it's obviously a great tool, as JP said. There's a different feeling about walking into a stadium getting booed by 40,000, whether it's your own fans or you're on the road. It's different, and you got to be able to learn how to calm yourself down and be able to stay within yourself. JP and I learned from the great late Ken Revisa too, and he was one of the best at doing that. And I mean, he literally taught me how to slow everything down and how to take a deep breath and be present in the moment. And it's not an easy thing. The mind game, it plays a lot of games with you, and it did for me too. From injuries to mentally not being able to do the things you were once able to do. It's definitely a helpful tool once you get into it and you're able to find somebody that you feel comfortable learning that stuff from.
And
sorry to add to that real quick, is like, fear sucks. And that's one thing, when you start to get the fear of failure and the ego plays such tricks on your mind, in a sense, that's where it kind of all falls apart, because you're anxious about what could possibly happen. And most of the time you're thinking about, obviously, if you have anxiety and an anxiousness, it's fear of not doing well. And so to me, that's the thing, is I tell people, and is like, want to fail, like take the risks and fail, because that's how you learn. Instead of being in your comfort zone, like, be okay with failure. I wasn't okay with failure because it was a shot to my ego. And then I would walk around Toronto and be like, oh, this fan's looking at me differently, or oh, this person, when a lot of it didn't matter. But like, who cares? Like, you get knocked down, like, get back up and accept that that's how you continue to get better. And that was something that I never really took into consideration. And I think Ricky could attest to this, is like, the best players that I've played with, those guys have a tough day, and it's like, all right, I'm back at it tomorrow. Where if I had a tough day, I'd go home, think about it, what was going on, instead of like, all right, I took it on the chin, I'm going to get back up and keep on going, and I'm going to get better because of today, me taking it on the chin. So that's what I would say, is like, go towards failure, like, push. That's how we grow muscle. That's how airplanes take off. They go into the wind. Like, that's how a lot of great things happen. So push for that.
That's pretty cool. Great advice from both of you guys. And the Let's Go Ricky Roll podcast, the first time that we've done a video one, first time we've had a guest like you in 3 different locations. It's pretty cool the way that you guys open up about this. And JP, we're going to have you back on real soon.
Because I feel like there's so much more that we can add to it. It's so crazy, man. Like,
Ricky, like I was telling you, we took a long off season with the Let's Go Ricky Roll podcast, and the group chat. You guys loved to rip me saying that I wasn't doing any work. Well, I was negotiating, trying to find the best producer director out there. Oh no, I got you, JP. Though it's our man, John McKelvey, producer extraordinaire, Indians fan, was able to figure out some things, able to incorporate things. Who is that man right there? The batting gloves.
Vernon Wells batting gloves, and that bat right there is Jose Bautista's Sam bat.
The Sam bat. So great job by our man John McKelvey, producer director, an Indians fan who still hates you for that opening day a few years ago where you ended it in the 16th inning because of that home run by you, JP. But we were able to incorporate the video, able to incorporate the stuff, so we get things going. So we're going to continue to evolve. We'll have you back on, JP. Don't worry. We got plenty more stories. I want to hear about you racing cars.
We have to, because today was a little bit of a, obviously this is the first time doing it like this for you guys, doing it live. But I think we have to get into like some of the nitty gritty, because there's a lot of good stories. That'll make me being drunk till 5 o'clock kind of look like a small one.
And there's no problem. And if you want to talk about CB Buckner and Angel Hernandez, we'll get into those guys too. No problem.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's definitely have a part 2 with JP. I mean, like I said, he's a character. We got to do the Tim Kirk. He's got to do the Tim Kirkchin. I mean, there's so much stuff we didn't even get into. And obviously, I knew the hour plus that we were going to have with him was going to fly by.
Okay.
But
real quick, JP, do a promo for the next time you're coming up on the show as Tim Kirkchin.
Oh, geez, that's really throwing me into the heat right
No,
there.
here, okay, Tim Kirkchin is going to do the promo. Hey, guys, thanks for watching the Let's Go Ricky Roll podcast. Coming up next week, part 2 with JP Arencibia.
You guys want to tune in? It's going to be great. I've talked to like 7 different cousins. Ricky has like 30. JP has like 45. You know those Hispanics, they like to do it. And we will have them on, and they will really give you everything. So just come back on and check it.
Thank you, Tim Kirkchin.
So great.
Thank you, Ricky Romero. As always, thank you everybody watching us on YouTube. JP Arencibia will have you back for part 2. Tim Kirkchin, thanks for stopping by too. For Ricky Romero and everybody at Pro Angle Productions, I'm Beth Duran. Thanks for listening to Let's Go Ricky Roll podcast.
Let's go, Ricky Roll. Let's go.